Right, a very good morning, folks. It's yet another day in paradise, as they say. We are here again, right here at Southern Crown Court, and it's week number 13. Today will be, yesterday was day 7 for former Minister of Petroleum in the witness box. And I tell you, it's not always fun in there. It was both her turn and that of the Crown Prosecutor. They had it tough. Sweating, of course, when you've been in the witness box for 7 consecutive days, except the weekend, there must be tough moments. There were questions, various questions. Don't forget that the job of the Crown Prosecutor is not to play. It is to bring everything, to punch you, to hit, whosoever is in the witness box as much as possible, especially when you are a big fish like this. So the Crown Prosecutor was going over and over, even things, almost everything that Diezani's defense had put up last week, and some of also the things which they had said before. They have over 10 years to bring this case to trial, so they are definitely going to have a lot of things, a lot of grounds to cover. And remember, it is during cross-examination like this that the Crown, that a prosecutor gets to put in the additional things, any other lapses, any other inconsistencies, which the defense must have argued. So it was the turn of the Crown Prosecutor, second day of cross-examination yesterday. As a matter of fact, let me start by saying that, at the beginning of this trial, the judge said, this case is for the Crown. This case is for the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the accused persons, Diezani, Alison Madueke, and the 2 others, that they are guilty, she told the jurors. And the Crown prosecutor said then that we will prove our case. So that was what continued. That was what she set out to do yesterday. Actually, yesterday, the Crown Prosecutor came, it's like she had a fresh wind, She came out all gun blazing. She was ready, very, very ready to jump on the case. Yesterday, remember, the tube strike was on yesterday, so we didn't start on time until around noon, until 12 o'clock actually. So more than 2 hours delay. And also today, the ripple effect of the strike is still on, but hopefully the case will start 10:15 today. But yesterday, the prosecutor was really ready, was firing on all cylinders as soon as the case came on at noon. She first of all reminded, I said, yes, Mrs. Madueke, you wanted to bring out something, you wanted to make a point on Monday, because on Monday, before the judge adjourned on Monday, the Crown Prosecutor had cited the Code of Conduct Asset Declaration form, which Diezani failed at the end of her tenure in 2015. So on Monday, the former minister had said, look, why are you bringing out just one of my asset declaration form? That there were 4, because she was sworn in 4 times as minister on various occasions during her time. So the Crown Prosecutor quickly took it from there yesterday and said, yeah, you wanted to say something. So she showed her the other asset declaration form, which she filled, which is a prerequisite, which is mandatory for ministers to fill. So she quickly put that up and said, yeah, this is it. You want to say it. You wanted to say that you fill more than one asset declaration form. I said, yeah. So she started that. But yesterday, so among the things which the key point yesterday, number 1, towards the end, the Crown Prosecutor was asking the former minister whose decision how did your son come and school in England? The former minister said yes. Oh, okay. All right. Number one, that she should recall that when she married the rear admiral, she inherited 4 or 5 stepchildren, and she said that, look, the older children of the rear admiral, they did their secondary school in Nigeria, and they did in the US. So that apart, she said her son, because of the position which she was, her son was being taken to and from school under military escorts, and that it wasn't comfortable. And that at one point, her husband had called her then to say, look, get this boy out of this country. So she explained that it was based on that and the recommendation of friends that they decided that their son should come and continue a secondary education here in England, in Canterbury, actually. So she gave that explanation to the jury that this was what formed the basis for their son after his secondary school or during while continuing secondary school to come and continue, because the father was concerned that this having to have 4 armed soldiers escort him to school, stay in front of the school, and then bring him home longer comfortable. They weren't happy doing that, so that was why they came. But also there were, let me just refer to my notes. The Crown then brought out one of the flights. There was an email of 21 of July 2011. Remember the other day, they brought out flight. One of the indictments, among the indictments is that Kola Logo paid for flights, chartered flight for Diezani. And Diezani had always maintained that she always bought a round ticket. She always had a return ticket with her. Any of her journey that she always came, she always bought a return ticket. So the Crown, and then last week she cited instance where she was not on a flight and her name was on the manifest, and to explain that one, I mentioned that to you yesterday. But also remember, the Crown, like I said, the prosecutor's job is to find everything to make a witness lack credibility before the jury. So she brought out an email of 21 of July 2011, which was to say that there was to be a chartered flight for January of 2012. So when the question was put to Diezani, this was one of the flights which they said that one of the 4 people Benedict Peters paid for, which they say is an undue advantage. It was inappropriate for a minister to receive this. So the prosecutor asked her, this chartered flight, why did you take this charter flight? So you arranged it. This is one of the benefits. This is one of the things you are being indicted for. So she cited this email of July 21st, 2011, where there was to provide, where there was to be, it was an agreed fact, actually. The email is from, the email is email of 28th of December, 2011. Where Kola Logos company was to provide chartered flights from Luton to Lagos. So this was cited. And then the former minister explained that, yes, this was arranged, but she said she had to fly back to Nigeria in early January, because then the regulation was to take place and the president had directed that she needed to come back. So the prosecutor was putting to her, but you had arranged this flight before the president gave direction. But the Diezani was explaining that no, this had been put in place just as a sort of a plan B that wasn't an exact word, but she said this had been put in place so that if she needed to jump back to Lagos, and that so when the direction came that she should rush back to Lagos to come and deal with the deregulation that was to take place in 2012, early 2012, they had wanted it to be in April, but it happened early January, so she had to rush back. And so that flight, was a chartered flight, and there were other people on the flight. So Kola Loko was one of those on the flight. So the former minister had always explained that anything that Kola Loko or his company did, or Benedict Peters, that there was an arrangement for them to be reimbursed in Nigeria by the NNPC, that if they did anything, any services that was rendered for her, which was personal, they were naturally reimbursing them. So these were some of the arguments. Then there was the email of July 21st of 2011. The property again, those properties, Harley House, Parkview, St. Edmunds, which are part of the indictment on this trial. They are saying that, the former minister used that they are linked to her. So she has always said, look, any involvement which she had with these properties was to advise, because interior decoration is that thing. As an architect as well, that she's very passionate about interior decoration. So among the emails cited was this one of 21st of July 2011. So the prosecutor asked her, was it to provide advice to Benedict Peters? Diezani answered, I was dealing with Mr. McCoy, and Mrs. Aluko was also involved. Then she went on to explain that all she was always doing was advice, even though sometimes she was involved in selecting the art, the painting, what they were going to use, the furnishings for the inside, but the thing she was doing was advisory purpose, and that sometimes she will give advice to Tony McCoy's for Bear Rock, a company that was handling the work, that if Kola Loko or Benedict Peters wasn't around, she was dealing with the foreman who was in charge of the work. So she said this is what she was doing, providing advice, and that anything she bought, they cited the case of when she went to Houston for a conference, for offshore conference, where she, purchased things that furniture. She said, yes, she agreed that, okay, we selected things, we made purchases, that it was also on advice. Anything which she saw and which she bought for herself, she bought it with the ones which she was selecting to be used for decorating the properties of Benedict Peters or Kola Loko, who wanted to use their properties for investment purposes. She said it was always advisory. And if she bought anything for herself, those people were reimbursed. So these things, many of these questions, this was the position of the former minister, that whatever she was doing for Kola Loko's company or Benedict Peters, that they were on advisory purposes, and that they were always going to be reimbursed in Nigeria. They also cited the case of when she was there with her family for Christmas in 2011, and then she said, look, they cited payment for baby nannies and decoration. She said, look, anything that was personal, her husband and herself, they handled the bills. But anything that was done, that was for the NNPC, there was an arrangement that the people, Kola Loko's company, Denka company, or any of the services that were rendered, they were going to be reimbursed in Nigeria. So that was part of what happened yesterday. They sent me in the witness box this morning. Hopefully, tube strike is not going to affect, of course, the tube strike is not on today, but the ripple effect from yesterday is affecting travel this morning. But hopefully, We're going to start at 10:15 this morning. But today is going to be day 8 for her in the witness box. And remember, it's been a long day when you're in the witness box. The other day that Hillary Clinton was right there before the Senate in the US, that even she didn't spend an whole day. She was irritated, she was lashing out with some of the questions. So in the witness box, it is not fun when you are being punched, when you are being pummeled, when the Crown prosecutor is twisting you, asking questions in various forms, the same questions many times yesterday and on Monday. Diezani will say, Madam Prosecutor, as I've always said, this is it, but she will come round, the prosecutor will come round, ask the same question in another format. Sometimes it looked irritable to Diezani, but she kept her cool. Say, Madam Prosecutor, as I've always said, she will explain that, look, whatsoever was bought for us, they handled the bill. There was one of the items, one of the invoices, which was funny yesterday, because they cited that invoice. It included Valentine flower. So when it was cited, and the prosecutor was asking her, is this for you? Among the items there, Diezani was able to pinpoint, flower for Valentine. She said, look, even when I was married, I don't remember giving my husband a Valentine flower. So everybody laughed. And so she said, that couldn't have been for me. The invoice, the sales receipt you are displaying couldn't have been for me. And she also mentioned that, look, the person they referred to the madam, that probably that invoice, those items that were displayed there were for Mrs. Aluko. She said, look, remember that Kola Local staff, they always refer to her as HN, Honorable Minister. So she said, look, the person they're referring this to is Madam, so it couldn't have been for me. So yesterday, it went really, really a tough one there for her in the witness box. Of course, she provided, explained herself. One of the jurors, they sent in a question yesterday, 4 questions. One of the questions was, why did you not resign as Minister of Petroleum? And the second question, 2 of number 4, was that when she discovered that deregulation had taken place in 2022, she said she didn't want to resign because she felt that taking the position and that she was born into the oil industry. She reminded the jurors yesterday again that, remember, her father was working in Shell and that unpleasant experience of her family, of the family being evicted from the house because her father took Shell to court for apartheid practices in West Africa in the 60s, that she still wanted to work. So she took the appointment and she had wanted to contribute a quota to national development. And she said, of course, I felt disappointed. She was shocked when the President Goodluck Jonathan's government went ahead with deregulation in early January, that, she was shocked, but that was just part of being in government, that she just had to go with it. So we continue today. That was how it panned out yesterday. And all that things not covered, I'll probably bring them up to you tomorrow. But today is going to be the 8th for her in the witness box. So it's going to be another long day. Hopefully, the tube strike will not cause any delay today. So I'll see you again later. Thank you.